Recording in progress.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone is able to hear me? All right. So just 1 minute. Right. All right then. So I'm sharing my screen. Right. Now, just 1 minute. Okay. Now, if you see here, so this is the input that is defined. This is the expected output. So this is the actual output, right? And then we have defined a test case like this. And before all will be executed for all. So let me put like this. System dot out dot println in initialize common data. Next here, in initialize before test. Then what I'll do is I'll add one more. If you see here, uh, so before each, at the rate test. Next we'll have after each, after all also, right? So now let me put like after I'll say like this, after each. Okay, so okay, after each, here I'll say like after each, then we can say like some finalize we can say like this, after each, close all data, something like this, or close data, or you can say like this, clear data after each test case. Okay, so here I'll put system dot out dot println, right, after each test case. So another one is after all, clear data after all. Okay, after all test cases, right? So if you see here, it will be like this. So first, before all, okay. So when I say like this, first before all, right? Next is before each. Next is a test method. Next, after each, after all. After each, after all. Okay. Now first, okay. Suppose, so what will happen now when I execute the test case? So first this will be called. Next this will be called. Next this will be called. Right? And next this will be called. And next this will be called. Okay. So suppose I have like this now. I'm just giving an example. Before all, public void method one. In method one. Next is before all. Next, before each, method two. Next, I'll say test method, method three, right? Now I'll have one more test method, method four, right? Now I have now, okay, let me put like another test, method five, right? Next is now I have after all method, after each method. Next, after each method. So method five. So this is method five. Then method six. So we have now system.out.println, method six. Next is right? Right? So if I have like this. So when I execute the test case, what will be the order now? How the flow will happen? So first this will be called. So first this will be called. Okay. So first in method one. Right? Next. Now second this will be called. In method two. Okay, in method two. Right? That means this will be called before executing all of these test cases, any of these methods. Before each means before executing each test method. Now next this will be called. This is one. This is second. Now this is third. Now it will be in method three. Right? Now again. Now again, so the output will be like this. Let me put the output like this. So first this will be called. So what will be the output? In method one. In method one. This is the output first. Next, this will be called. So what will be the output? In method two. Right? Next. Next, before executing the test method, this will be called. So this will be 3. So now in method 3. In method 3. Right? Next. Now before executing this test method, again this is called, right? 4. So before executing each test method, this is called. Again, that means in method 2. Oh no. Sorry. Before calling this method, see, before calling this test method, then after each will be called. After each test method. That means this is 4. That means in method 6. Right? And I think this is after all. After all. And this will be your method 7. Right? So this will be your method 7. Right? Now in method 1, in method 2, in method 3, next in method 6. Then after that, now it has to execute this test method, right? So before executing this test method, again before each will be called. That means in method 2. In method 2. Right? Then it will call test method. That is in method 4. Right? Then after that, after each will be called. That means in method 6. Then it will execute the next test method, right? What is next test method? Method 5. But before executing method 5, again, before each will be called. In method 2. Next in method 5. Next in method 6. Next at last, it will be in method 7. After all. So it means, so before all is executed, before any method. Okay. See, if you remember this, you'll understand. So before all will be executed before any method. Before any method. Right? Next, before each will be executed before each test method. So before each will be executed before each test method. Right? So next after that, test method gets executed. Then after each will be, this will be executed after each test method. Right? Then after all will be executed after all test methods. After all methods we can say. That means if you see here, first this got executed before all. Next before each. That means before executing this test method, see, test method order will be like this only. In whatever order you declared, in that order. That means before this gets executed, then this gets executed. That means method 2. Next test method gets executed. That means method 3. Next, after executing this, after each test method, this will be getting executed. That means in method 6. Right? Now again, now before executing this test method, now again this will get executed. That means in method 2. This test method gets executed, method 4. Next, after executing the test method, this gets executed. That means method 6. Next, before executing this test method, so method 2 before each. Next, method 5. Next, after executing each test method 6. Then after executing all the methods, method 7. So if you remember this, you will understand. So what we put in after each, generally, we know that before each, we created the object of customer manager, and before all, we initialize the global variable. So after each, we can put something like, we can make this as null. Manager equal to null. So that next again before each, the object is initialized again. Here we're making as null once we are done. And then we are initializing. In clear after data, what we can do? We can initialize this expected organization name equal to some null. Finally, we can put like this. Okay. So next I'll put here in test method, add customer test, right? Next I'll put like system.out.println. In test method, check for customer is not null. Next, in clear data after each. Okay. Next, clear data after all. right? So now let me now run this test case. It got failed. Why? Why it got failed? Okay. Before all should be static. Okay. This should be static method. Remember, this should be static method. Okay. Always before all, this should be static method. Okay. After all also should be static method. Now you see, first I got this one. First I got before all. That means initialized common data. Next I got initialized before test. That means this one. Next I got the test method. That means before executing the test method, this got executed. So that's why I got this one. Next test method got executed. I got this one. In test method, add customer test. Next, after running this test, this will get executed, right? After each. That means in clear data after each. Right? Then, that means after completing this, right? After completing this, then again it will execute the test case, right? I mean, before executing this test case, again this will get executed before each. Here there are two test cases. See, I'll put here. It will be easy to explain like this. Okay, I'll remove this part just to make space more. Right? Then I will remove all this part. Then I'll remove all this part just to speak, okay, just to save the space. Right? Right. So first what will get printed? This gets printed. Right? So next before executing this test case, so before each should will get, that means this gets printed. I mean, this gets executed. That's why we got this. Next, this got executed. Next, after executing this, after each test case, now this will get executed. Right? Then before executing this again this will, before each will get executed. That means again you got this. Okay, again you got this. Next, this get executed. Next, after executing this, again this will get executed. And finally, this will get executed. Any doubts till now? Any doubts, any questions till now? Everyone understood? Okay, so what I'll do is, so with this, I think JUnit is done. JUnit is done, but the thing is, Mockito is there, the next two. So the Mockito will be linked with JUnit only, which I'm going to tell. Okay. So what we are doing in JUnit, if you see here, take this test case. Just take this test case. Right, take this test case. Right. So if you take this test case, what will happen now? You see here, we are defining the input. We are getting the actual output. Then we are comparing that expected output on this one. You see, this is important one. To get the actual output, what we are doing? To get the actual output, what we are doing? We are calling this method. This method is present where? This method is part of this object, right? Where is this object present? This object is of this customer manager class, right? So if we go here, so this is the method. Okay, this is the method. Right. So this add customer is calling this. That means this logic is getting executed. This logic. So that means to get the actual output, we are calling this logic. Right. Sometimes what will happen is this logic might be associated by connecting to a database. This is the logic. Now you are just adding in a hash map. This is in hash map. We are adding the data. But instead of hash map, we can add the data in a database using some JDBC. We can use JDBC code and add customer data in database. Right. So in the real-time code, we'll have like this, right? In the real time, we'll have the code like this. JDBC code, we'll have like this. Now, while testing this method, we pass some test data here. Right? Because in test case, we'll pass test data, right? We'll pass some dummy data here. And now, when this method is called from your test case, so now this logic, what it will do? This will take the test data. Because you are calling this method. That means you are calling this method from your test case, passing the test data. Okay, passing the test data. So this test data is passed to this method, right? And your logic, your JDBC code, what it will do? It will insert the test data in the database. It will insert the test data in the database. Right? Okay, suppose think like think like we are testing for one more method. Imagine you are testing for one more method where that logic has deleting the data. Okay. So you are testing for one more method where that logic has deleting the data. Now you want to test that method, whether delete is working fine or not. Now, when you call that method, that logic gets executed and delete the data. That is a risk, right? So if you see here in the real-time scenario, so to test this logic working fine or not, to test this method, you are calling this method so that that logic gets executed and inserting the data in the database. So sometimes in the test case, you'll pass the test data. This test data gets inserted in the database, right? So while testing the methods, we should avoid connecting to database and test. While testing the method, we should avoid methods connecting to database and test. So that means, so for example, I have one class. Okay, this is my main class. Some customer service, right? This is my main class, customer service. In this, I have one method called add customer, right? Now I'll pass some dummy here, int customer ID, string customer name. Okay, this is some dummy data I'm passing. And here I have JDBC code to insert data in customer table. Right? Right. Now what will happen now? So now what will happen now? So this method, when this method is getting executing, it will connect to the database, your database, customer table, and gets inserted, right? Now I'm writing one test case. I'm writing one test method, JUnit test method, right? So when I write the JUnit test method, right? I'm writing first. I'll write one test method, okay? @ test, something like this, method 1. So here I'll define input, okay? Define input, right? And then I'll define expected output. Now I'm testing this method, right? I'm testing this method, define expected output. And then I want to get actual output, right? I want to get actual output. I want to get actual output. Now to get the actual output, what I'll do? Definitely, I'll create the object of this, right? I'll create the object of this. I'll create the object of this. Right, I'll create the object of this. And then I'll say service dot add customer data. Okay, and I'll pass this test data. So 100, some ABC. So I'll pass this test data. So that will call this method. And this method, what it will do? This will execute this logic. That means for testing this method, we are unnecessarily inserting some test data into this database. Ideally, this method is supposed to insert original data, because when this is called from your application, so your original data should be inserted here. But while testing, we are inserting some dummy data here. We are passing some dummy data into this so that this JDBC code gets executed. And then because when we call this method, this logic will get executed. We cannot avoid this logic because this logic is meant for your business purpose. So ideally, automatically, when we call this method, this logic gets executed, and this logic will insert the data in the table. Unless we are passing some test data here. So that is the reason we are passing some test data, right? We are passing some test data. That means we are passing some dummy data into this table, right? This is your original table. This is your original table. Just for testing this, just for JUnit test method, we are inserting some dummy data in this table. So we should avoid this. But at the same time, we cannot avoid this, right? JDBC code is required for this class, right? This is important for business logic. So that means when doing JUnit test code, when getting the actual data, actual result, we should avoid the method connecting to database. Or when we can say this, when doing JUnit test of the method, of the business method, we should avoid the method connecting to database. But how this is possible? Business method has this logic, right? Business method has the logic of connecting to database and inserting data. See, we cannot remove this logic, because if we remove this logic, there is no meaning, right? This logic is required because this is for your business purpose. Because you are calling this, you are inserting your original, you should insert your original data here through this logic. But because of this test data, this logic gets executed, inserting the tested dummy data into the table. Okay. So remember, when doing JUnit test of the business method, we should avoid the method connecting to database. But how this is possible? The method is having this logic. How this is possible? See, we cannot remove the logic from the method because this is important. That is part of our business requirement. But at the same time, when we call from this our test method, we should avoid this logic. We should avoid this DB execution logic. How that is possible? See, we cannot remove JDBC logic from the method, right? Because this is part of business requirement, right? Right. At the same time, when we do JUnit test for this method, okay, when we call this method, okay, the method should not execute DB logic. How this is possible? See, I don't have your previous videos actually. I don't have a previous videos. I think Supriya madam has already sent previous videos. Take those things. Okay. See how this is possible. Can anyone tell how this is possible? Just read this once. Just read this one. How this is possible? So this is where, even if you take cloned object also, the business logic will be that part of that cloned object, right? So this is where your Mockito comes. As I told you, that second unit testing tool. This is where your Mockito is. So JUnit, you got an idea now. JUnit, you got an idea, right? Now Mockito will be combined with JUnit, and we can work like this kind of scenarios. Yeah. Actually, the thing is, I don't, the Google Classroom link that admin actually access has been, that faculty login, I'm not able to log in. So I'm checking with thing, but at any cost, I will upload this by today or tomorrow. Okay, then. Is that JUnit outdated? No. Mockito will work with JUnit only. If there is no JUnit, there is no Mockito. If there is no JUnit, there is no Mockito. Okay. So Mockito, these type of problems will be solved by Mockito. Mockito along with JUnit. So I'm going to explain Monday. So tomorrow there is no class on account of Ramjan. Okay. So Monday we'll meet. Okay then. All right. So I'll try to get the Google Classroom link. See, I'm not able to access Google Classroom link. That is the reason. Otherwise, I could have uploaded all these notes. I'm not able to access. Okay, I'm not able to access. And these are your earlier recorded videos. I'm sending to everyone. Just take this. Yeah, code also I'll upload. Okay. All right then. Okay then. Thank you all. Thank you all. See you on Monday. Okay then. Yeah. I'll try to get Google Classroom link. I'm not able to access it. I'll try to get and I'll upload it. Yeah. Thank you all. In this JUnit, no logic written in JDBC, but there might be code where you write JDBC, right? But there might be code where you'll write JDBC, right? In this example, I did not write JDBC, but in the real scenarios, you'll write JDBC, right? Right? All right then. Okay. Thank you all.